Did you listen to Jeff and Professor Hamo in the morning? Here's what you missed.
This hour, you know, we like to talk about issues that affect us as Kenyans.
Yes.
And this one, you all need to tune into because it affects all of us. Are we a healthy nation? Are we a nutritious nation? Are we living well?
Oh, yes.
What's our well-being like? We're joined in the studio live by nutritionist Wanjiku Waira. No relation whatsoever to the other Waira. the milkman himself. Wanjiku, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jeff. It's a pleasure to be here.
Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Looking very healthy.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
What is that?
Of which none is more important than the other. So what does that mean? It means even if you take amazing care of your body, meaning your exercise and eating well, but emotionally you have a lot of what I call moves. You're carrying so many issues. You're not dealing with your stress. You're not focused on your vocation or your profession in terms of why you go to work and why you get up in the morning. You're not grounded spiritually. Whatever that would mean to you, because there's no one which is more important than the other, and you don't take care of your internal and external environment, then you are not a well-balanced human being, of which all of this integrate. And that is actually what wellness is. Yeah.
Do you find a lot of us, at least the working people, we just go about our business not really enjoying what we do? You know, you get up, you go to work, you do your 8 hours, you come back home just to earn a paycheck or to pay the bills. Do you find that? Actually,
that's interesting because that's unfortunately what 75% of us look like. In fact, there was a study that was done in 2004 by Dan Butner with National Geographic, and they went around the world to figure out why do certain people live such long, vibrant, healthy lives, what you call centurions. People who live to 100 and they're still working and they're moving around. And one of the things they found is that the person who knows why they wake up in the morning lives 7 years longer than the person who does not. Yes. Now, that is one fact. That's in terms of knowing your purpose and why you get up every morning. Then the other one, remember I talk about spiritual wellness? People who go to their religious community 4 times a month live 4 to 14 years longer than people who do not.
Watu wanaenda kanisa. Tuseme
whatever your religious community is. So if you're a Christian, that would be your church.
Yes.
If you're a Muslim, then of course.
Mosque.
Yes, if you're a Jew, you go to your synagogue. If you are a Hindu, you go to your temple.
Yes. Four times a month.
Yes, 4 times a month. You live 4 to 14 years longer than people who do not. So these are the other aspects of wellness that I was referring to.
Na ile kanisa ya Nakuru. Ule pastor.
Ule kwanza anakuongezea reasons za kwenda kanisa. Umuombe. You live longer. Kuona neema ya Bwana. So, how?
Yes. And this is science, so this is not anecdotes or feel-good or fluffy stories. So that is why it's important to ensure that you balance, you ensure that you invest intentionally in all the aspects of your wellness. Yes.
Wow. Stress.
Yes.
Some people refer to it as a lifestyle disease. But stress happens to every one of us, doesn't it?
Sure.
And we never see it coming, do we?
No.
Or at least the effects of it. Right?
True.
How can we avoid it? Is there any way to avoid it? I mean, it's simple to say, oh, I'm so stressed. Oh, Mazani Mechoka, I'm so stressed.
Well, I'd like to look at stress like a sun. For example, there are certain, if you go out and it's nice and sunny, you enjoy basking in the sun. But then when it's too much, it begins to burn your skin. When it's too little, especially for the little ones, then you find that you don't get enough vitamin D and you have to supplement it either by injection or by tablet. So that's how stress is. Because then you have what is your regular stress, which is sometimes too little, so it doesn't motivate you to act. Then there's what you call your eustress, which is now the ideal stress for you to figure out, I need to balance this, I need to get this done, I need to have this deadline to meet, and because of this, I need to sort out my kids, I need to, all these other things. So now that's what we call eustress, that motivates you to perform. Then you have the tail end of the stress, so you're looking at a bell curve, which now begins to destroy your system. The higher the levels of stress that you are actually facing or interacting with, then your body begins to produce hormones that actually begin to break down your system. And that's why you move from ease to dis-ease, now that you begin to experience disease. That's how that happens. So,
Ease to disease.
yes. So that's what happens. And because of that, well, at the end of the day, you need to begin to sit down and ask yourself, of all the 10 million battles I have to fight every day, Wanjiku, how serious is this? And in the long and short of it, must I win every single battle, every single time? And depending on your value system, if you're keen on, let's say, executing justice, must I be the executor of justice every single time in every single battle? And on this one, truly, can I just be accountable? This didn't go right. I could have done it differently. So can I put this to bed? Take responsibility, be accountable, but most importantly, don't stop there, because that's where depression starts. It was like, I don't do things very well. Everyone's only speaking on me. This is not working. My kids are not doing very well in school. My relationships are not really going the direction I want. Or my parents are ailing. When we stop there, that's when we start going the very slippery road of depression.
Yeah.
And, but from there, then you pick yourself up and say, okay, so what could I start doing differently? Not better, differently.
And a lot of young people in their 20s now, we're finding out, are suffering from depression. 20-somethings. And this is because of pressure. Their age mates are doing so well. The slay queens are slaying. Right? And they're saying, what happened to me? So suicide rates are going up.
That's true.
Depression is getting out of control. And these are 20-somethings. And, we in our 5th floor, that's where we are.
Yeah.
And we're saying, you people have no clue about stress or depression. What's going on, Wanjiku?
Well, there's something that I coined called soft underbelly syndrome. That's what I call it. Because we have protected and, shielded the people who we love and, the kids that we're raising so heavily that we do not give them the opportunity to build the grit, the underbelly, the learning to work for things, delayed gratification. So I need this, you get it immediately. And that's not a bad thing. But it cannot be that that's the norm of life, because then you pass a particular point, then life does not stop because you showed up. And you must not say yes because you are that of that. No, we're not going to say yes. We're going to hold you accountable.
Maisha lazima ikupitie vile tunapitiwa.
Bas.
Enjoy it as we are.
It is.
Because we live in that instant gratification.
Yes.
I was looking at parents, walk into a home, unapata wazazi wako kwa simu wote.
Kila mtu.
Watoto wako zao, either ako kwa TV ama ile atafanya. Unaitwa mara 16 na mtoto hapo, mami, wewe bado uko Candy Crush. Baka hata ukiletewa chakula, kama ina chumvi unafungua WhatsApp group ya chumvi, unatumia bibi niletee chumvi, anakutumia. This kind of lifestyle, is it adding to our stress levels or depression, for instance?
Yes, it is. It's called really the lack of being present. Because life is for living. I'm a strong believer is life is for living, and life is too short and unpredictable for you not to live it now and for you not to enjoy it now. However, for you to be able to enjoy your life, you have to be present for it. What does that mean? It means if I get home and I have a little toddler who's, cannot sing Baba Black Sheep from start to finish, but is attempting, I need to sit on the floor, not sit on the chair where the child is looking at me, sit on the floor so we are at the eye level with the child. And if if I'm present, I realize, my teenager is a bit unusually quiet today. That email can wait, truly. Yeah, have a conversation.
Wow. Juu hata saizi angalia kwa matatu.
Yeah.
Unaingia kwa matatu, wewe na kasimu kako, hiyo ina simu yake, unalipa, unamalizana, unatoka, kumbe ulikuwa umekaa na aunti yako hata yake kuona.
There you go.
You see?
There you go.
But we are also living in a time when deadlines are pushed. Like watu wa media unapata you need to be on point na kuna kitu inafanyika sahi. You need to be posting,
this day and age of social media.
Yes. How do you balance it?
Yeah, it's really it has its advantages and lots of disadvantages.
Yes.
I agree. Though we cannot begin to say that because there's all these technologies happening around us, that then it's distracting us from what we're doing. Yes, you have to have a deadline because that's how life is. That's the profession and the industry you've gotten into. But again, it's not all the time that something is happening. So when you have that minute or 30 seconds that you can look away from your phone, where are you investing it in? And the key word here is investing.
It's investing.
And in is in, and then you are vested. Yeah.
Afadhali wangeiona ingie ndani yako alafu
Invest.
invest it. Invest kwa watu. Man,
That is so true.
Yes.
And look, our parents raised us. 4, 5, 6 children at some point. And they, for the most part, they did an incredible job. Today, raising 2, 3 kids is almost impossible. The kids are being raised by our nannies. Nimboch.
na kuwa distribute kama baba 50. Unaona? Mtoto sasa hivi wamefunga, we have 2 months and plus.
2 months of holidays.
Sasa sasa hii wiki ya kwanza unakaa na wao. Alafu sasa wiki ya pili wewe Nyandarua kimbia Kisumu. Wewe wana distribute kwa mashosho.
Yeah.
I mean, mtoto anafika 18 mnakutana naye ni stranger.
What went wrong?
Well, I actually don't mind the visiting of the grandparents because there's certain values that okay, well, they spoil them rotten and we are kind of okay, have to correct that when they come back home. But there's certain values that they instill in them. The challenge I have is that even when you send them for a holiday camp, you're not interested to find out what they learned. So then that means you cannot roll out and begin to follow through on the lessons that they've learned, no matter how well vested in terms of that camp did. Because all these are, again, life experiences. But ultimately, when you ask where did we go wrong, it all comes back down to that one thing. Are you investing in the people who you love? It could be your kids, it could be your nephews, your nieces, even when they're in your house, when you spend a day with them. Are you being able to roll it over? Are you investing in terms of what they eat? Are you maintaining the same values that you've agreed upon? Are we disciplining our children? Do they know what that is? Or is it, I do not want to be hated, and if I'm hated, then that becomes a problem that I do not want to deal with. And because maybe I'm away a lot because of work, then I start compensating my presence for presence.
Presents for presents. You throw money at them.
There you go.
PlayStation 4, sijui
Kibao. Unajua kitambo mzazi wageni wangeingia kwa nyumba. Ilikuwa ni signal ya watoto tutoke.
Immediately.
Hiyo ilikuwa normal. Wangeingia, sasa hivi tunangangania kiti. Na mgeni. Unasukuma viatu zake tukisukumana. Sasa my mother used to look at you hivi na unajua vita utachapa wiki 3. Hiyo umeangalia. Sasa hivi ukiangalia mtoto hivi anashinda uko na shida yote. Mama, you have a problem.
Ini kiti yangu.
Ini kiti yake. Kwanza remote ameshakuamilia.
Mgeni amesimama.
Yes. So I mean, like you say,
yes,
we are not there. So in a big way to compensate, we are overcompensating.
Okay, that's about wellness.
Yes.
What about diet?
Now,
Diet. Are we a healthy nation, Wanjiku?
Well, in the larger spectrum of things, I think we are, because even with all the quote-unquote junk full environment that we find ourselves in, because of how we grew up, there are a lot of traditional values which we still practice in our homes. So that's still there. However, our intention of the quality of what we take versus the quantity, for me, is where I'd like to focus. Because yes, you're gonna have breakfast, but and it's cereal, and I have nothing against cereal. But is it high quality cereal? Is it nourishing cereal? If you're gonna have that, if you're gonna have bread and have whether you're gonna put a spread of margarine on it, how balanced is that meal? On a day that you're gonna have a long day. Just the same way, if you know your day is starting at 4 and ending at 10 p.m., you plan all your diary and everything that you need to carry with you.
Yeah, okay, that's all well and good for the middle class.
Yes.
But there's some guy in Kibera right now saying, "Who cares what's on my bread as long as I get some bread? I don't care if there's margarine or I put a thick layer of margarine on it. I'm mjengo.
Yes.
I'm doing physical labor.
Mashida zindanipiga zitakata hiyo margarine. So mimi hata nikule vile nitakula.
Yeah.
Actually, you'll be surprised that what we call the lower class, apart from the middle class, are much more healthy than we are. Now, looking back, of course, I look at it as a privilege. I grew up in that environment. So in the morning, it's not a story of whether they're going to have bread and margarine. It is what remained last night that you're going to have for breakfast, so that you can make it to school on time, and you better be out of the house by 5, because you need to get to school. Well, I was blessed to be educated by a church fund, so because of that, I needed to get to school really early, and wash off the mud off my shoes, and put on the really nice, socks and shoes that the church had bought me, so that when all the other kids are being dropped, then I I'm at the same level with them. Now that's the same principle. Because I do not have the luxury of so many choices, chances are I am not going to go for a junk meal because the price is pretty high. So I'd probably have my black tea, my ugali, and I'm gone. Yes. And then somewhere along the way, there's a guy cutting fruits, so I'll buy a slice for 5 shillings. By the time I'm getting there, it's there's the lady of tea who normally comes with, either comes with a mandazi or, a chapati. Then I'll have that. And then at lunchtime, I'll have my dondo and something else. So chances are, my spread of meals that day is going to be so much more healthier than me and you who have got an array of options. And it's about where we're going to call in, where we're going to dial in from, or we're going to go out and eat. Yeah.
And in our nyama choma culture,
ya bypass uko wapi
mutura
60% contaminated
samosas
meow zamuta
nyama choma culture. And it's obviously leading to a lot of issues. I mean, people say diabetes, heart disease, all this stuff just happened the other day. No, it's a lifestyle. It's this nyama choma, lack of exercise. You're putting in more, you're taking in more ugali, more nyama, and it leads to gout, all these kind of issues. Can we avoid that?
We can manage it, because in all those conditions you've mentioned, there is a hereditary factor. So if in your family, if you come like where I come from, where my aunties are the size of a drum and you can roll them down the hill.
Aunties what umesikia? Aunties sisi ni drum.
Darama wagaragare kwa hii kama kakeleni kaidia.
It's impossible. Well, that means is that I have to be more aware about what I put into my system. Then probably you have to think about it in terms of if you do not have that kind of a challenge. So our hereditary factors also have a big play to it. Now, whether you go to the doctor and they ask you, your parents, your grandparents, did anyone have diabetes, etc., it actually follows in the same principle. So if in your family you have people with diabetes, high blood pressure, and all this other heart disease, high cholesterol, etc., then that means you have a much higher chance of having the same challenges than me who doesn't have that history.
Right.
That's exactly what it means. So that means you have to be that much more careful than I have to be. But it doesn't mean that I can't be the start of that line.
Okay, if one could afford it.
Yes.
If one could afford it, how many times would you recommend someone to go for a nyama choma event, a meal, whatever? How many times a month?
Well, easily, maybe 2, 3, 4 times.
So once a week?
Once a week
is okay.
Is okay. The challenge is, what have you done with the rest of your week? That is one. And then 2, how much of it are you having? Are you having a kilo per person? The way, yes, my friends out there, yourselves.
Yes, a kilo. That's a kilo of
and you're 2. And and you're not leaving there until it's done.
No.
So again, there's that other story. We're not going to go into the. And then what are you having it with? And then I'm going to follow it with a drinking spree.
Right. What are you washing it down with?
Yes.
So the question is not whether the nyama is good or bad, but of course there's the whole argument around charred meat and the char being carcinogenic. There's just a whole conversation which I'm not going to today. However, the question is, what are the portions you're having?
Yeah. We are speaking live to Wanjiku Waira. She's a nutritionist. She knows her way around wellness. Collins Kipling Ting says she's got some insights. This guest Wanjiku is realistic. I like and buy her sentiments. Health. And then it says, Muulize story ya nyama choma. Okay, I just did. Thank you very much. Q-ball, anasemaje?
Anauliza cukes, tell cukes kwamba doma na gwashi are starch, not vegetables. Tupunguze. Ni ukweli?
That is a fact. Yes.
Sio vegetable?
Doma na gwashi is not a vegetable.
Haya. Sisi tunachanganya kwa nyama tukijua we are replacing cabbage. Tuchome nyama.
That sounds like a relative of mine, but no. True, I agree.
So it's starch.
It is starch. Yes.
Oh.
Yes, high fiber starch, but yes, it is still
High
starch.
fiber.
Yes, so
What does it
waru
mean?
plus,
Yes.
your potatoes plus your domas and guashes,
Yes.
same family.
Yeah.
Kai.
Yes, they're relatives.
They're not greens.
Juu tunaweka si tunaweka doma ngwashe waru
Zote tatu.
na nyama.
Na ugali.
Inapikwa vizuri na
ugali
ugali.
kando.
Ndio tuna wash down kabla tutoke bypass. Hiyo cholesterol ipigwe na NTSA. Juu attention tulionayo kwa barabara. Roho inapiga ikichapa cholesterol.
Let's take a break, come back, talk a little bit more. Apparently there's something called good fats.
Yes.
There's good fats and bad fats. Hiya. And also, we'll take your questions and calls.
Yes.
0722 20 88 20, 0734 20 88 20.
Tuambie kama wa Kenya. Bruce. Where is our Koinage?
Amanda.
Koinage is not here. Man.
16 minutes to go before the top of the hour. We're speaking to Wanjiku Waira. No relation to the milkman. She's a nutritionist. She knows everything about this incredible area that people often ignore, by the way. And we're encouraging you to call in and ask your questions about nutrition and health. By the way, John Gurugwe, who's in Doha right now, Doha, he says, good insights, but hapo kwa nyama choma 4 times a month ni ngumu. Choma ni religion. You listen to these people? Choma ni
religion.
kaugali hapo.
Yes.
Kachumbari.
Yes.
Kilo moja.
Waru ndani, doma ndani, gwashe, kafishi zimetoleanishwa hivi hazijakatwa.
Yeah,
hizo za kufunika zinaitwa marinating tools.
Rabbit food. So Wanjiku, you talk about good fats and bad fats.
Yeah.
Tell us.
Well, all fats are not made equal because there are those that are good for you, and that's why we call them good fats, and there are those that are not necessarily very good for you. Now, let's start with the ones that are not very good for you. What is not very good for you is whatever is solid at room temperature. And what makes one fat solid and the other one liquid? It's purely the bonds that it has. Temperature, that means it's not necessarily very good for you. But this is not necessarily things like margarines. Neither is it things like, sorry, excuse me. There are things like margarines or things that you use to put on your spread. Now, they're, again, animal sources and vegetable sources. So, for example, let's start with the animal sources. This is for example, what you find as butter. Now, there's been an age-old argument whether butter is good for you or not, and that one we can have on a different day. And there's also the trimmings that you find on your nyama choma.
Yes, which people really love, eh? Kala kamafuta.
Usiwache bila kamafuta. Hiyo ndio trimming.
Yes, it's called a fat trimming, just right at the top.
Yes, and people love that, by the way.
And that is why we say, have it in moderation.
Right.
Then there is, that part of the chicken that's usually right at the top.
Yes.
Umeguza mahali pabaya. Western ndio team kubwa tuko nayo. You should start with a disclaimer. These are not the opinions.
These are the views
of Hot 96.
Yes. So because of those trimmings, what happens is when taken in excess, a lot of the times that begins to raise your cholesterol level. Now, we've all heard about the conversations of cholesterol good, cholesterol bad, no cholesterol, high cholesterol. Now, our bodies also produce its own cholesterol. So what does that mean? Anytime your body takes in more than it requires, then your body begins to store it.
Yeah.
Now, have you ever poured the soda and left it for a bit? It starts becoming sticky. When you have too much cholesterol, that's what happens. Then our blood cells, from the time they're made to the time they're destroyed, it's 120 days. So the more sticky this cholesterol becomes and begins to stick on the walls of the vessels, the older blood cells cannot pass through. And that's what now begins, they begin to almost like jam up. Think of traffic jam. They begin to jam up.
Kama kimo fulani.
Yes.
Yes.
That creates a clot.
Yes.
And depending on where it develops, then it can become a problem.
Chicken skin.
Yes.
Good or bad?
I would say to my Luya brothers, please let's stay away from it. Maybe listen from Western.
Nice.
Yes.
Uncle Kangozi.
Unataka kutuumiza? Unatuua. Bese memwakwa.
Pork.
Yes.
Pork. Nguruwe.
Pork, again, same principle about its trimmings. Yes. Really, really try and have as lean as possible. And I say as lean as possible because it's almost impossible to have lean pork.
Yes.
But have it as lean as possible. The same thing with your beef.
But the people who say pork is one of the most nutritious meats, is that true?
Nutritious doesn't necessarily mean that everything on it is free. And how much of it are you having?
Yeah.
Which part of it are we talking
Again,
about?
I would talk about the fats.
The fat.
Yes.
Okay.
So we're talking about the fats are not necessarily good for you.
Yeah. Mutura. We never know what's inside it.
Exactly.
We just eat it.
It's a conglomeration of everything. Kavumbi kadogo, chumvi hapa, jasho ya muuzaji, some aluminium from Gizu.
So that one out with the fit.
That's why they serve it in the dark.
Hakuna eye contact, usiangaliane na mwenye anapikia. Wewe kula kitu yako choma.
Yeah.
And then bring it when you're most hungry.
Correct.
Yes, it's alafu unajua mafuta yake yanamwagika pale ndani kwa moto. Hiyo moshi inakuita ukiwa kwa ofisi. Ukiwa pale pasaba unasikia mtu akikuita tena.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the phones now, folks. I know you have lots of questions. 0722 20 88 20. Hot 96, you're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning to you, Mr. Chestnut.
Good morning. Who's this?
I am Mario calling from
Wonderful. Keep Klemoy. Salimia Wanjiku na muulize swali yako haraka sana tafadhali.
Yes, habari gani? Uh-huh. Busa inakuanga na vitu mingi, sio? Busa peke yake? Hakulangi chakula? Sasa hiyo kweli itakuwa affect kwa sababu mwili lazima ipatiwe vifaa tofauti. Lazima uongeze utaangalia ile chakula kwa karibu na wewe ile unaweza kula. Lakini si buza peke yake.
Wow.
Lakini sasa utafika kweli miaka 70 kweli kama unakuja busa kila siku?
Yeah, asante sana keep him on. Hey, what a healthy man.
What?
Busa.
Puya.
Busa.
Viungo anaongeza ni pipe ama nini koroboi?
Mitch Kitoy saying there are a lot of GMO foods in the current market and they are cheap too. What are the effects of eating GMOs?
Well, definitely, we do not want a lot of to be consuming a lot of genetically modified foods. Definitely, that's of course a big problem. It's a big concern.
Yeah.
The challenge is how to differentiate it in the market. And for me, where I sit, this is a legislation issue actually, Jeff. Because again, when you go and you go and find some nice beautiful tomatoes, unless you've grown them yourself, you cannot actually 100% vouch for where and how they've been grown.
Sure.
And we have seen an upspring of the organic markets, which in more ways than ones have been good. But when you go in, again, the prices are quite astronomical.
Yeah.
And access is limited.
Okay. Kipletin Collins is asking, what if it happens that mimi hupenda nyama, right? But I exercise kukimbia regularly.
Well, that's a good balance. That's a good balance. The question is how much, how often? And again, I'll throw in something here for the joints, but this is not an excuse to overdo it. All right?
Yes.
Are we on the same page?
Thank you.
Gentlemen?
Thank you.
Yes.
We are tuko masikio.
Tuko masikio.
Tuko rada.
All right. The more animal protein, beef specifically, especially red beef that you take,
Yes.
the more important it is for you the older you grow.
Huh?
This is because of the zinc And zinc is a primary foundational resource or nutrient that your body needs to make testosterone.
So
Now, this is what happens. By the time you're flipping over at 30, gentlemen, your testosterone levels begin to dip. Now, the lower testosterone levels you have, the higher your risk for certain conditions and diseases.
Okay.
So the aim should be to try and encourage and help your body continually build a lot more testosterone as you grow. As you grow older. As you mature, the more mature you get, the more zinc you require. Now, the best and most bioavailable source, bioavailable means the easiest way for your body to absorb that zinc. You can get it from supplement, yes, but the best way to absorb it is from zinc. And the best source in this case would be your red
Hapo
Umekuza.
Hot 96, you're on the Hot 96, you're on the air. Good morning. Yeah, who's this? Makia from where? Wonderful. Do you have a question?
Okay, let's that again talks to anemia, and basically she needs actually a lot of blood building foods. And apart from your vegetable, you say you're from Kapsabet?
From where?
Yeah,
Kabarak.
Kabarak.
Oh, from Kabarak. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. I can
Kabarak.
I can answer that.
Go ahead.
Yes, she a lot of vegetables are your green leafy vegetables definitely give
Is that
you
iron? Are we talking iron?
You're talking about iron.
Yeah.
Then there's of course your liver if you can get it, and that means at least a portion 2 or 3 times a week. And depending on how old the client is or the patient is, the older you are, the more we need to remove the covering on the liver. Yes. And have that as part of the normal meals. Sometimes some people are not able to tolerate it, so we dice them. You should dice them into tiny pieces
Of liver.
Yes, and then mix them in their regular whatever meal that would be.
Yeah.
At least 2-3 times a week.
Okay.
Yes.
But the other thing is supplements if you can afford them.
If you can afford them,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
There's you walk into your pharmacy, you can get that. If it's but you know a lot of times you have to have had your blood work done for us to know what level it is.
But greens mostly are good. Terere, all this.
Managu.
Yes. If you're in the city, beetroot is the best. Is your best friend.
Beetroot. I love beetroot.
Yes. If you're in the city and somewhere you can easily access them, beetroot is your best friend.
Hii imesqueeziwa hii ya juice nini ama you
I
just
would
take
say
it raw.
blended. As in blended, not juice. Because when you juice, you remove the fiber.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sugarcane juice.
Sugarcane juice is a feel good.
It's a feel good, but it doesn't help kiti yote.
No. We will not say it does not help kitiote. But again,
Na vile tumedanganyana hapa.
It's good for the wood.
Bure. Kumbe nyama choma bypass itatuokoa.
so the gentleman who asked about exercise,
Yes.
I would say yes. It's a good thing that he's balancing out the eating of meat with exercise. But again, it's how much. Are you eating more than quarter kilo by yourself? Then that's a bit too much.
Frequency of exercising for the normal Kenyan, let's say. What's a good frequency? Is it 2 times a week, 3 times a week, 4 times? What's a good to maintain your health?
To maintain your health, I'll talk about it like a month. The younger you are, the less you need to do this. So we usually say 3 to 4 times a week. Now, if you're mid of your 3rd floor into your 4th and 5th floor, this becomes a priority and not a feel good. So you need to do at least half an hour, ideally an hour of some physical activity. Doesn't have to be weight bearing, but physical activity every day for 5 days a week. Then you can rest over the weekend.
Does that include sex?
Do you want us to have that conversation?
Of course. Lete gazeti tutupe. Tutafanya nini? Thank you. Bruce for once. For once. Please need to go to the bench.
That's another whole hour.
True.
Wanjiku, we shall give you the final word, your final thoughts as we close this hour.
Okay. Again, fats are good for you, and there's no fat that is going to destroy your system. The question is about how much that you take it. Now, if something is liquid at room temperature, it's definitely better for you, as opposed to if it's solid at room temperature. When you talk about your spreads, remember all your spreads, a lot of them what we have in the country are plant-based. But that does not give us the room to overdo it.
Finally, if people want to get in touch with you, Wanjiku, how do they do that?
I guess they can call me, they can book an appointment with me in the office.
Social media handles?
Oh, at Wanjiku WL, that's on Twitter.
At Wanjiku WL.
That's on Twitter, yes. On Facebook, I have a page, Wanjiku. It's just Wanjiku.
Just Wanjiku?
Yes, yes. IG, again, Wanjiku WL.
Wanjiku WL. Folks, you heard that, because Wanjiku is a nutritionist, and she will be glad and more than happy to provide all kinds of insights and advice on how we can stay as a healthy nation. Wanjiku, thanks so much for your time.
It was my pleasure. Thank
Great
you for
to
having me.
Catch Jeff Koinange and Professor Hamo every day, Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. only on Hot 96.